Hello, what we're going to do in this tutorial is to use a facility called Knockout. This is a little used function in the Layer Style panel. It will enable us to create a window so that we can look through one layer and see what's happening on the layer underneath. In this case, our window is a magnifying glass, and if we move the hand and magnifying glass around, we can see different parts of the image underneath. This technique isn't really worth doing if you're just creating a still photograph, because you might as well just insert a new image into that circle. But if you're going to make an animation or a screen capture video, then it looks quite useful. We'll start off by getting rid of the knockout layer section and having a look at our individual layers here. The base layer is our background of a field with trees, and for this technique to work, this layer must be a locked background layer. If you are using a background image which is not locked, as here, go to Layer, New, and Background from Layer. That will lock it. The second image on top of that was taken from the same location 2 years later after the houses were built, and in this example I've toned it, well, colorized it with the hue and saturation function. Above that we have a hand holding a magnifying glass. The glass with its image and highlights has already been removed from this photo. The hand layer needs to be active. This is the layer where we're going to have the window. To create the window, we need to start off by selecting the area with the ellipse tool. It's one of the shape tools, and this will work the same as the elliptical marquee tool. To draw a circle, we need the rulers, so with Ctrl R or Command R, put the cursor in the top left corner and drag it so it lines up with the edge of the magnifying glass. Hold down Shift for a perfect circle and drag it over the magnifying glass window area. That gives us our shape. Now we go double click on the ellipse shape layer to bring up the Layer Style panel. The section we want is the Advanced Blending section, and fill capacity must be set to 0, and knockout we set to shallow. If you've got several layers to punch through, we would set the knockout to deep. In this case, with only one layer, either shallow or deep will work, and straight away we can see through to the layer underneath. Click OK. Now this shape layer and the hand layer need to be linked, so we select them both and click on the link button at the bottom of the layers panel. Now we can, with the move tool, we can move around the hand, the magnifying glass, and see what's happening underneath, and that'll work over the whole image. The next thing is to make the magnifying glass look a little bit more realistic. We'll double click on the shape layer to bring up the Layer Style panel and choose the Bevel and Emboss section. Inner bevel and technique set to chisel hard. We'll increase the size straight away, and the depth also to a couple of hundred. Size here is a bit too much. Let's take it down to 6. We'll turn off the global light and choose a different contour. No, not that one. We'll have the double peaks here, and for highlight opacity, drop that down a bit, and shadow opacity, drop that down to 0. It gives us a more realistic bevel edge around the magnifying glass. We OK that. We can get rid of our rulers as well with Control R or Command R if you're on a Mac. Now we're going to give the magnifying glass a crescent shaped highlight down one side. So on a PC, go to Control click on the shape layer, or on a Mac, Command click on the shape layer. That gives a selection inside the magnifying glass rim. Now we want a new layer. We'll just have a bit more space in the layers panel. Click on the Create New Layer button. We want to fill that with white. If you've got the default colors black over white, on a PC it's going to be Control backspace, on a Mac Command backspace to fill that with white. We can cancel the selection with Control D, Command D. Now choose the elliptical tool and draw a much larger circle over there. Move it around. Give ourselves a little crescent shape. No, that's not quite right. Slightly smaller one. That looks a bit better. Remove that section inside the selection. Deselect, Move tool, and we move it in a little bit from the edge. That's our highlight, but it's too strong at the moment, so let's reduce the opacity. That's what, 70%, 60, 50%. We can use the numbers on the keyboard. Let's try 4 for 40%. There, that looks okay. Maybe a bit less even. 30%. Yeah, just a hint of a highlight there. Now it needs to be linked up with the hand layer and the shape layer. So we select all three and click the link button. There we are. Now if we move them around, all those three items will stay together and show us the image underneath. The video of this on the YouTube page was done as a screen capture video, but it can be done in Photoshop as an animation, and it'll look like this. What you have to do is put the magnifying glass in a position, say in the bottom left hand corner, and turn it into an image, and then you move the glass a pixel or two to the right or up and make another image, and you carry on doing that until you've got as many images as you want. Then you put them together in the animations panel in Photoshop and save it as a GIF file. Then it can be put on a website. Here is a variation of the technique where we have a picture of a map, and underneath is the same map which has been distorted with a warp function. Now if we turn on the magnifying glass, which is using the knockout from layer styles, as we move it around we can see the magnification. Now that's the lower map being seen through the normal picture above. That's it, and maybe you can think of your own ways of applying this technique.